You know, it seems to me that women are more interested in the lifestyle that a man can offer them than the man themselves, right? Um, it's like y'all only care about what the man comes with, but not the man himself. Meaning, if anything should happen to where it would impact the lifestyle that you want, okay, um, you ain't sticking around for that. And you want men to be able to guarantee that they'll be able to keep you or keep the feeling of safety and security no matter the circumstances when some things are just out of their control, right? And a lot of women that think like this is following that sprinkle rhetoric, okay? Because the sprinkle rhetoric is essentially y'all are learning from someone, okay, that used to be a side chick, became the main chick because she's now the wife, right? And she chose a man that really wasn't that physically attractive, but he had money. And if y'all actually listen to that sprinkle stuff, she's actually telling you to not care about looks, okay? So if you want money, there's not going to be a lot of wealthy men that are attractive and that are going to be loyal, okay? So I just think it's interesting y'all are listening to a used to be side chick, okay? And she had to learn to love her husband the way that she does. I think they've been married some time now, but it's just like y'all listen to the most toxic women when it comes to their history and their relationships and then what she's teaching. Now, I ain't gonna knock her hustle. The girl doing it, the lady doing it, okay? But that just shows you what women believe. You're willing to sacrifice certain things for the sake of a lifestyle, for the sake of money, right? And that is not a marriage that God would want you to have. It's more than that. Why would he only want you to be with a man that can financially support you the way you want to, and you just totally overlook everything else? Right? A lot of y'all can't even, sleep next to somebody that you're not sexually attracted to. And a lot of y'all are struggling with that mindset. What's wrong with having a 9 to 5 type of guy who you are attracted to? You may not get, this lavish lifestyle, but he's going to love you to the point where you feel like you're living lavishly. So I just think it's so interesting that y'all are more invested in what that man can bring outside of himself. Okay, it's like him being himself is not good enough anymore, and y'all really got to change that if you want to be in a committed relationship, if you're looking for that long-term partner.
I gotta put the hat on for this one, man. I gotta put the hat on. She spoke a lot of truth. Man, she was cooking. Shout out to the content creator. She has a lot to say, and man, it's really listening to this. It's really maybe 2, maybe 3 parts I really want to break down. Let's address the first part, right? Her talking about the way that women are now, and them really only wanting relationships where they can get something from a man. They can extract something from a man. And on a lot of instances, listen, I don't blame women, because here's the thing, right? This is one of the things I've constantly been beating the drum on. Dudes, when we've heard the we've heard the conversations. What do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? As a lot of men are in this current status, right? I would say the majority, not the minority, but the majority don't bring nothing to the table. Let me explain it. Let me break it down, right? Men nowadays, again, I have to start with this. They out of shape. They unattractive. They don't take care of themselves. The video I made the other day, right? They don't go to the dentist. They don't go to the doctor for checkups. They don't take care of their skin. They don't hit the gym, right? They don't eat right, right? They lazy. They not looking to progress in life. That's just the internal things, right? Externally with men, they don't know how to fix nothing like they used to, right? They not handyman. You see what I'm saying? They not romantic. They don't like doing gestures or anything nice anymore. That's the internal things operationally. They not financially literate. They not emotional intelligent. They haven't went to therapy to heal. Man, I can go on and on. That's a lot of baggage that these dudes aren't on point with. Now, again, that from my experience, that's the majority. The minority is to the end of this video where she was talking about what's wrong with a regular 9 to 5. We'll come back to that. Going to the second part of this, talking about your girl Sprinkle, right? She been killing the game, talking to the ladies. Some of the stuff I agree with, some of the stuff I don't, right? But she has her opinion. Cool. I would say this. Women have money now. They don't really need a guy's money. So when it's a situation when they can't bring anything to the table, as far as all the list of stuff I talked about internally and externally when it comes to the majority of men nowadays, you see, only thing they can get from and extract from is money. So it's like, why would I spend my money on you when you don't bring these other intangible things? So the only thing you really have that's tangible is your income, which I can support myself on myself as well. But why would you? And here's the funny part: women has been like this forever. Your money is my money, our money is my money, and my money is my money. They've always had that mentality. So it ain't changed. Now, when they have a good guy or a guy they're attracted to, a guy that they actually desire, right, emotionally, sexually, they spending money on them. They buying them clothes, shoes. Man, let me tell you something. Earlier in my first peak of life, right, I was dating a lady who owned a gas station, right, cut me $10,000 checks, anything I wanted. Right? That because I was desired. I'm being straight up with you. I'm gonna give y'all a little peek into my life, right? Obviously, I didn't need it, right? But she offered, right? Because of other business ventures I had going on. So why not? Not just to blow. Obviously, I'm smarter than that. But for other business ventures I was on. So I say that to say as a personal example, when a woman sees value in you, right? When they desire you, they gonna spend their money. They're not gonna want anything from you. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna want to take you out to eat. They're gonna buy you gifts. They're gonna give you things that you can enjoy. They want to spend time with you. They ain't gonna want you to spend no money. But that's only if they desire you. But if you one of these average men out here who don't bring anything to the table, go back, rewind the video, watch the list I just alluded to and put forth. If you're not hitting on any of that, that's all they gonna want you for. So hit, sprinkle, sprinkle. She probably got it. I haven't looked at it in a long time, but I'm sure the guy she had a bankroll. So she like, yeah, I'm gonna love him because he has provided that lifestyle. But let him dip a little bit. She out of there. Right? And she even said, really, a lot of women laying up to guys who they are not sexually attracted to. Man, look at the Rick Ross situation with the chick he was dealing with, right? She didn't even want to kiss him in public. Yeah, he had money, but she was probably so disgusted with bruh because he overweight. I'm sure he brought other things, but at the end of the day, these women still got to sexually desire you to go the long way. They'll have fun with you, right? When it comes to you breaking bread with them, they're gonna be there. They're gonna have fun with you. They might have sex with you, right? But long term, nah, they out of there. So the last point I want to make, right? Well, actually, come think about it, I'll make one more point before I get to the last point. She talk about would God want this for a married woman? Man, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Listen. A lot of women go to church, but I don't think they search for God in that, man, because why is it that all these women go to church and men don't really go no more? And we can go down the line about the preacher being sassy. We can go down the line about how it's a concert show with the smoke and the mirrors and, you know, the way it's set up now isn't so traditional. It doesn't really resonate with men. It's really like it's speaking to the women. However, it's almost like women want to do it their way and want God to forgive them for whatever they do versus listening and doing it the way God tells them to do. That's really how I look at it nowadays. They want to do what they want to do and God forgive them for however they run it. But it don't work like that. Right? So, to the last point. I talked about the majority of guys. Now, the minority, the one thing that she talked to as well, spoke to in the last part of the video. What's wrong with a 9-to-5 guy who actually does bring value, right? But he would be considered average, right? In the sense of, he's not balling out of control, but he a good dude. He actually handle business. He go to work. He provide, right? Again, he keep himself up. Again, he not a Chris Brown. He not one of these celebrities, right? He not super rich, but he actually do. He just an average guy who a wholesome guy who on top of his stuff. They still don't want that because part of it is, and again, I wouldn't say everyone, but I got to do the majority and the minorities, right? Minority women, I think they would enjoy that, right? They not looking to be having a lavish life. They want to be able to be taken care of, go on a few trips, right? They know what it is. They realistic. And I love those women, right? They haven't bought into this fantasy. The majority of women I see out there, they want to ball like control. They want to have fun. They want to do what they want to do. They want to run the streets. And they don't care nothing about marriage. They're not looking for that until later down the road after they've somehow figured it out and came out of this delusion where they can have their cake and eat it too when they're young and still get it when they're older. Nah, it don't work like that. And men have constantly said it. Listen, women are at their peak from about 18 to about 30 pushing it. If you really keep yourself in shape, you can maybe push it to 35. Men peak from 35 to 65, right? The woman that they had their highest beauty standard, which is what most of them offer, what men care about, not what they care about, what men care about. Obviously some sense too, but usually it's the beauty, right? So they can have good genetics and all this, right? So, but I say that to say, that's one of the issues, man. We have to change. We're hoping as men that women switch this mentality soon. And they starting to feel the pressure. I believe so, because you hear more stories about why men not approaching no more. Hey, men have totally checked out from dating, from marriage, from kids. They going overseas, right? They have totally left the Western world. And this ain't just black women, right? The Western traditional woman. They have totally started to check out. Now, that's not all men. I'm not saying that, but a lot of stuff you guys see on the internet now and all of that, that's part of what's fueling this fire and what this young lady right here is talking about. So, listen, I thought she had a great message. Women need to hear this, but a lot of women gonna hear it and one ear out the other, right? But hey, great take on her. I appreciate the content and sharing. What y'all think, man? I thought she brought a lot of value. If you got any value from what I said, hit the like button. If you first time watching, subscribe. And if anybody else need to hear this message, share it out. And until next time, I appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace.